Happy Thursday. I'm meteorologist Justin Gehrts, and thanks for joining us here on the 10 Weather Impact Show. It's been a cool day for us, a little breezy yet, but there is going to be some warmer weather on the way here very soon. That also come with the opportunity for some scattered showers and thunderstorms, and there'll be some dry time this weekend. Don't worry about that when you see the 7-day forecast here coming up. We started the day with some clouds. Those moved out of here, but then with the cool weather in place, those fair weather cotton ball clouds really got going, and we've seen a lot of those develop on the satellite picture here. All these are out there, so it's turned mostly cloudy for the time being. As we get toward later on in the day, these are going to be thinning out some, of course, as we lose the relative heating of the day. Mentioned it's going to be breezy. We've felt that so far. It's not quite as strong as what we had yesterday. Even so, peak wind gusts are going to be around 20-25 miles an hour throughout the area. Now, if you're heading out to Sonic Temple, today's the first day for that. Looks like we'll be A-OK here. Temperatures are in the lower 60s perhaps, but we'll see some clearing in the evening as temperatures fall back into the 50s for those later acts. As far as what the weather impact is, cool breezes today, yes. We are warming up very soon, though. In fact, we have 80s on the way this weekend. Could even have our first 90-degree high temperature of the year on Monday, so that'll be something we're watching for. Also seeing some storm chances here coming up for the weekend and toward the middle of next week, too. We're still locked in at 59 degrees in Columbus. We've really struggled once those clouds began to really build back in. Cool air is really focused in our section of the country. However, you notice we have the northwest winds, but over here they're more to the southwest. Area of high pressure is centered off to our west. That's where the warmer air is located, and as it slides away, we're going to be seeing return flow for us. What really means is those southerly to southwesterly winds that boost our temperatures. Now, tomorrow, 71, that's just a little bit below average, but pretty seasonable, really. Check out this weekend and early next week, though. Highs in the 80s to around 90 would put us around 10 to 15 degrees above average. Even next Wednesday, after a cold front comes by, we're still talking relatively warm temperatures. All right, here's that hour-by-hour forecast. There we see quite a bit of cloudiness around for the next several hours. However, going into the evening, those clouds begin to move away. We'll see a clearing sky overnight into the first part of Friday. We start off with sunshine. Probably we'll see a few more clouds build in during the afternoon as a weak weather system approaches. There's a very slim chance that it could produce a sprinkle or very light shower, but for the most part, we'll just see more clouds roll in during the afternoon and evening before things really start to turn a little more active for Saturday with a more notable weather system that comes in. The dew points, a measure of how muggy it is, it's going to be only in the 40s today and tomorrow, so not a big deal there. For the weekend, though, those dew points rise into the 60s. That'll feel somewhat humid, especially compared to what we've experienced around here lately. Also looking for Saturday for that severe weather outlook. Storm Prediction Center is really highlighting well off to our west, but it does bring in a level 1 out of 5 risk of a severe storm across portions of Ohio. If that happens, and that's a big if, it would be mainly in the form of perhaps some gusty winds, but there are still some really big questions on what kind of activity we're going to have. Here's your forecast for tomorrow morning. It is going to be a crisp start to the day once again, with readings generally in the lower 40s area-wide. However, not really worried about any frost, so no concerns there. However, it is a sign that, yes, we're not quite done with the cool air just yet tomorrow morning, but we have a nice climb in the afternoon. 71 is the high tomorrow with a partly cloudy sky. For Saturday, some occasional showers and thunderstorms out there. May have some in the morning, then redevelopment in the afternoon and evening. We'll try to figure out a better sense of the timing on that as we get closer, but there'll be some spotty stuff throughout the day. But also, I want to highlight plenty of dry time, too. Highs end up around 82 on Saturday. Right now, Sunday's rain chance looks to be mostly early in the day. That all lifts off toward the north with a high around 87 in the afternoon. Mostly sunny on Monday, highs around 90. Record high is 93, so I think we'll come up short, but it's still going to be pretty remarkable that we're going from such a cool day today to near record highs even on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, still seeing that chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms as our next weather system moves into the region. Looks like that may hedge more toward the Tuesday night, Wednesday time frame, but of course we will keep an eye on that and get a better sense of timing as we get a little bit closer. So that is going to be a thing that we're watching here in the next little while, but for the most part, we just can say goodbye to the cool weather here before too long. Big pattern change is about to come on in. All right, well, while our weather is cool and quiet today, that has not been the case everywhere around the country. Starting first down in Florida, where 2 EF0 tornadoes were confirmed on Wednesday. Listen to how one man describes the storm.
Huge gust came and basically pushed the door shut on me, and I heard a loud, and the roof was gone. hit my son's truck, blew out his windshield.
Experts surveyed that damage on Wednesday afternoon, concluding that two tornadoes, which had maximum winds of 85 miles per hour, tore through two neighborhoods, one in the Hudson area and another just west of Shady Hills, but no injuries were reported. Over in Utah, strong winds left thousands of residents with power outages and severe damage. For a time, air traffic was grounded as dangerous conditions were in place. Residents described how those winds sounded.
A large kablam.
How loud was it?
So it was like super loud.
So loud, and I was just like, what is going on? I'm from the Midwest, so I was like, this is tornado weather.
Yeah, I see a lot of power poles down there with those trees too. Rocky Mountain Power said 100 customers were impacted by this specific incident, but more than 6,000 people across the state lost power. Crews were working to clean up the damage on Wednesday evening. Those same strong winds kicked up a dust storm, creating dangerous driving conditions Wednesday. That led to an 8-vehicle pileup along the Utah and Idaho border. Deputies on the scene report the storm created zero visibility conditions, saying, quote, "I mean zero visibility, there was no visibility," end quote. The crash took place around 4 o'clock local time, with 7 people reported to be injured, 1 seriously. All right, sticking with that severe weather coverage and the tragedy last year at Camp Mystic in Texas, lawyers for the camp were absent from a hearing that took place on Wednesday this week. This marked just the latest event in what has become a contentious legal battle over the tragedy last year. Here's a report from Austin.
Number one is our belief has always been that this group of people can't operate a camp for children again.
Those are the words from Brad Beckworth, attorney for the family of Seal Stewart, after today's planned court hearing with Camp Mystic didn't happen. Stewart was one of the 27 girls who died during July 4th flash flooding at the camp last year.
We're supposed to have a motion to compel arbitration hearing, which is proceeding where the defendants were hopeful to get the trial moved out of public view.
That public view, according to the victims' attorneys, is a jury trial. Instead, the opposing counsel did not show up because, according to the plaintiff's lawyers, he is in Italy.
Last night at like 11:59, they withdrew their motion and filed a new one. A little subterfuge and trickery at the last minute to avoid the day in court.
It has been tense between attorneys on both sides. During the last hearing, the attorney for the Eastlands, which owns and operates Camp Mystic, told attorneys for the parents they would, quote, burn in hell. It was also after the Eastlands testified in front of the joint Texas Senate and House Investigating Committee that they announced they were withdrawing their application to the Department of State Health Services to open up to campers this summer. The first camp session was scheduled to start on May 30th. In the meantime, the first of 5 lawsuits filed by families of girls who died in the flood is expected to go to trial next May. And that is now the focus of the hearing set for June 10th.
We're going to bring this case to the light of day. We're going to let juries decide the outcome.
Let's turn to some news about our environment. A new study shows the Earth is getting drier despite increased rainfall. It uses data to show that the reason is precipitation often comes from large storms. The excess rain surpasses what the soil can absorb, leading some of the water to evaporate. The research also highlights long dry spells between such storms. This study was recently published in the science journal Nature. And speaking of heavy rains, meteorologists are warning the developing El Nino could turn into what's known as a super El Nino by this fall or winter. El Nino is a natural weather pattern that occurs every 2 to 7 years. Its most notable impact is warming the Pacific Ocean, which shifts wind patterns. That triggers weather conditions worldwide that lead to droughts and heat waves in some places, floods in others. NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, says there is a 2 in 3 chance the current El Nino will be strong or very strong. Some models show it could even become the strongest on record. Powerful El Ninos are often followed by La Ninas, which are the opposite and cool the Pacific Ocean. A big positive for the eastern seaboard is El Nino's increased wind shear in the atmosphere over the Atlantic Ocean. That makes it harder for hurricanes to form. Of course, that can be some welcome news, given the damage in recent years from hurricanes that have hit the U.S. But even in quiet years, it only takes one storm to do serious damage and be memorable. Our partners at Climate Central and Ben Tracy show us how some coastal homeowners are building safer, smarter to stay safer.
About 4 miles that way is the Gulf.
Gene Tiener's home along Florida's coast doesn't look like his neighbors.
Is your house a bit of a curiosity around here?
Initially it was.
Its round design and wall-to-wall windows offer stunning views, but it all serves a bigger purpose: to take a beating from hurricanes.
What do you really worry about when you know a hurricane is coming your way?
Well, you worry about the wind blowing off the roof, you worry about the rain, and you worry about flooding.
Teener's home has weathered 6 hurricanes in 5 years, including Helene, a Category 4 monster that tore through the Gulf Coast last September.
The inspector, when he came in, he said, if we have a hurricane, I'm coming here.
Its aerodynamic cone shape is designed to reduce wind pressure by 30%.
Oh wow, yeah, they radiate out from the center of the house.
Trusses, like spokes on a bike wheel, distribute storm forces evenly to keep the roof intact, and it's all anchored deep into the ground.
It will open up and it'll lift like this,
with flood vents to relieve water pressure and protect the foundation.
With all of these features, Gene's home is built to withstand 190-mile-per-hour winds, a Category 5 hurricane.
The house was built by Deltec, a family-owned company in Asheville, North Carolina. With more than 5,000 homes worldwide, Deltec says their designs cost about 10% more, but they often stand alone after the storm.
We're taking that great shape and we're pairing it with amazing materials.
Matt Oblinski is Deltec's lead engineer.
What's your track record against storms?
We're 99% successful.
Is there such thing as a hurricane-proof home?
No, we're very careful to say these are hurricane resistant.
And the need is growing. Climate Central research shows warmer oceans are fueling stronger hurricanes, boosting wind speeds across the Atlantic last year. Stronger storms can mean more damage and higher insurance rates.
I have a feeling that window's not going to do very well.
It might not.
Whoa.
In South Carolina, the Insurance Institute of Business and Home Safety is also trying to make existing homes better. Researchers here batter houses with all kinds of disasters to find out what holds up best.
You build houses and then you destroy them.
Exactly, yes, and we do it all in the name of science.
Senior meteorologist Sarah Dillingham says this wall of more than 100 fans can simulate a Category 3 hurricane, putting roof systems to the test.
If the roof flies off your house, it's kind of game over for the rest of the stuff in your home.
Yes, your roof is your first line of defense, and it is what helps hold everything together on your home.
She also recommends high-impact windows and doors. And one crucial upgrade many overlook: a wind-rated garage door.
Your garage door is your biggest opening of your home, because when wind gets in, it will find the weakest link.
These windows look pretty strong.
For Gene Teener, investing in a storm-resilient home has bought him peace of mind. He even canceled his optional flood insurance, saving $12,000 a year.
You put a little bit more money into it, and it lasts forever. It pays off in the long run.
For Climate Central, I'm Ben Tracy in Crystal River, Florida.
Now on to some space news. Google and SpaceX may soon be joining forces for a rocket launch deal. This is two companies are starting to compete for data centers up in space. That's the yet-to-be-proven technology that SpaceX chief executive Elon Musk says is the next step for his rocket company. Google is also in talks with a possible deal with other rocket launch companies, according to sources. In 2025, Google unveiled plans to launch prototype satellites next year as part of its moonshot initiative called Project Suncatcher. And staying with space, as scientists push the boundaries of space exploration, a new wave of missions is trying to answer a critical question: what happens to everyday materials beyond Earth? Gwen Baumgartner spoke with one biotech company whose research could revolutionize medications, agriculture, and even space habitation.
And liftoff. Go Falcon, go Dragon.
This was the beginning of a historic SpaceX mission, last fall tasked with delivering supplies to the International Space Station, in addition to some unusual cargo. Samples of cholesterol, freeze-dried liver, even house dust.
That's probably the most expensive dust in the world now.
It really is.
Olivia Holzhaus is the CEO of Rhodium Scientific, a space biotech company, working alongside the National Institute of Standards and Technology to create a first-of-its-kind research library of space space-based reference materials like this. The materials are unique because they spent 6 months in orbit before this re-entry. Researchers will now compare them to identical samples that never left Earth.
Do they change? Do they stay the same? Space changes biology, all biology. And we're just now scratching the surface of understanding what those changes are.
Space has an extreme environment that impacts things in different ways. For astronauts, its microgravity causes muscle loss and reduced bone density.
Or take an EpiPen, which can be life-saving here on Earth. But back in 2023, the drug was sent up into space and came back partially toxic.
And then there are these tomato seeds. After months in space, they'll be planted on Earth and have their growth tracked against normal seeds.
We want to make sure that we have accurate products, and not only for space, but that we're bringing products home that are useful and beneficial for humans here on Earth.
As space exploration accelerates, missions like this are becoming more important than ever. To some, this may just look like dust, but to researchers, it's a glimpse of the next frontier. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, let's check out some new video into 10 TV. Going to stay up in space for now. Check out this view, a stunning image showing the Aurora Australis, or Southern Lights, taken by an astronaut aboard the International Space Station. The aurora is seen above the Indian Ocean, southwest of Perth, Australia. Actually northwest of Perth, Australia. That view is from orbit, about 268 miles above the surface of the Earth. Yes, there you have it, the Southern Lights. And speaking of space, everyone's favorite soft-sided space mascot traveled with the Artemis II crew to Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. That was as the crew spoke with congressional staff. NASA's Artemis II mission took the astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook, and CSA astronaut Jeremy Hansen on a nearly 10-day journey around the moon and back to Earth in early April. More photos of this visit can be seen on NASA Online. And finally, check out this satellite view from NOAA showing dust being kicked up as a low-pressure system moved across the upper Midwest earlier this week. Dust became more apparent after switching from visible satellite to what's called the CVD dust product. You can see those yellows in there. Yep, the kind of that milky yellow on the backside of that system as the freshly tilled soil, the loose dirt, got picked up by those gusty winds behind that weather system. Of course, we have the gusty winds today. Thankfully, no dust issues to be contending with, but it is going to be a cool one the rest of the day as we see temperatures struggle to get into the lower 60s. But this warm-up is on the way, aiming for 71 for a high tomorrow with a partly cloudy sky, up to 82 on Saturday. That'll be our first 80-degree reading in about 3 weeks' time. Some showers and thunderstorms are out there, at least off and on for Saturday. Then for Sunday, we'll see a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly early in the day. I think most of Sunday is going to be dry. We'll see highs around 90 coming up on Monday. Record high is 93. Middle of next week, another weather system comes on in, produces our next round of some showers and a few thunderstorms. Of course, with the weekend timing of that rain, we'll be giving you updates on what to expect. In the meantime, you can also get latest updates here on 10 TV starting at 4 o'clock. Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer will be here with that. And anytime you need weather updates, just head on over to 10tv.com or get the 10 TV app. In the meantime, have a great afternoon.